Good morning, friend. Welcome back to Locally Raised. It is potato harvesting time. Let me show you the bed we're about to harvest. There's definitely green left here. You can see some of the plants have died back and then some still have growth. Typically I'd wait until there's no green left, everything's died back, because that tells me my potatoes have gotten as large as they can. But I want this bed for some fall planting. I've been surprised how long these potatoes have stayed green. So we're gonna harvest anyways. I've got lots of helpers here and we're gonna get this done. It's in the 50s, which is crazy for an August morning, and I'm grateful. They're a funny shape.
Why don't you dig around? I bet it's almost like
I found one. Oh, I found one.
Shake the dirt off and take it up to mama.
Find one?
Found another.
Oh, I think this is gonna be a good harvest.
Ah! Look, it looks like a big body.
Does it look like Jimmy the gourd from Veggie Tales?
Yeah, I know.
That looks like you. Oh, wow.
Look at this.
Is Jimmy the potato or the pickle?
So once you found one, put it in the bin before you keep digging, okay?
It's right here.
Cool.
Hi, Gene Bug.
Cut it in.
Now y'all dig for those potatoes.
Can you reach down, Jamie? Look where Daddy is. Can you reach down in that corner? I think you guys already found everything there is to find in the corner you're in.
That's totally right.
I'm digging a potato.
Shoot. I wonder what
I'm
caused
seeing
it.
a potato. He found a potato.
Good one, James. Here, put it in.
I found a potato.
Good.
There's lots of potatoes all
Keep
around
digging.
here.
I promise you'll find more. Some of them might be down deep.
I'm digging down. Luckily, oh, I found one. Luckily, I have this nice narrow one. Bella, I'll give you back this couple.
Look. If you keep going down,
Daddy,
there's more.
next time we plant potatoes,
It's a huge one.
I
They're kind of
dug
sweet potato shaped.
a rotten
Oh, a
one.
rotten one. Yucko yuck.
I dug it.
Okay, here.
I said spickable.
These potatoes are one of the things I've been most excited about for this summer's garden. My family eats a lot of potatoes. My kids go in and out of phases of what they like and don't like, but potatoes are always in. And one of my goals this gardening season was to grow more foods that don't take effort to preserve. I'm going to can a few of these, but the rest of them will be laid out on cardboard in our garage and will be left to sit for a few weeks so that they can cure and are good for longer term storage. And then we'll just be able to eat these throughout the next few months. And that is just such a gift that I didn't put a lot of time into them, but they're fresh, organic potatoes from our backyard. Let me show you what this bed gave us. It's not quite as much as I was hoping for, but it's still good food. There's our little harvest. Well, our medium harvest. Now that I've seen what came out of this bed, of course, I could have gotten more out of the bed if I'd let the plants go till the point where they died. I think some of these potatoes would have been a bit bigger. But now that I've gotten the chance to compare this raised bed potato harvest with my potato harvest from the Ruth Stout row that I did, I think I'll just do that no dig potato from now on. It's not, it wasn't really a smaller yield. Raised bed space is precious. I'm always weighing which things to do in ground versus raised bed. The nice thing about that Ruth Stout approach is even though I have hard clay soil, I can grow potatoes on top of that soil and still get a good sized harvest and save this precious bed space for things like onions and garlic. So let's get these potatoes inside and I'm gonna start peeling and canning. This is my harvest table where I put things while they're waiting to be processed and preserved. So I'll show you what I've got for potatoes. These are Ava potatoes. I like their shape. I'd not grown these before. They'll be good for cutting into French fries. And I grew these in that Ruth Stout No Dig potato row. And then here are the Kennebec potatoes, different shape, but they'll have a good flavor. And these are what I grew in the raised bed. Most of these potatoes we're gonna save for fresh eating because we like to use them all different ways. But I do want to can a few because I really liked having some canned potatoes on my pantry shelf last year to throw into soup. I appreciated that convenience and the fact that they could last all the way into the spring when they were canned. So let's peel a few potatoes. I'm gonna choose the largest ones for peeling because I really don't like sitting around peeling tiny potatoes. And we'll chat a little bit while I'm peeling them. I've been reflecting a lot on this past year of growing food and want to share some of my thoughts with you. A few of the potatoes got sliced by my kiddo's little shovel, so those definitely need to be eaten right away. I'm gonna put them in the canning pile. While I'm peeling these potatoes to prep them for the canner, I wanted to share a few thoughts on the past year. If you're new to this channel, my family and I moved from Texas to Pennsylvania last summer. I had been a professor and I transitioned to becoming a stay-at-home mom and homesteader and sharing things on YouTube. I say the term homesteader in the smaller scale, smaller sense of the word. So we're on an acre, keeping a garden, chickens, bees, planning on some meat rabbits. But, we're not on dozens of acres. I'm not growing a year's supply of food. But now that it's been a year, I found myself spending a lot of time thinking about the past year and what I'd like from the next year. Kind of New Year's type thoughts, but it just happens to follow our timeline of our time here. What I've realized is I don't want to grow a year's supply of food. At least not right now, not in this current season of life. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 6-month-old. I started getting really excited about this idea of growing and raising more of our own food maybe 2 years ago when I started reading a little bit more about suburban homesteading. I liked the idea of a small scale. And, I've always liked gardening. I enjoy everything I'm doing. But I have been surprised, now that I've been at this for a year, by how much work it is. I never expected it to be easy. I like hard work. I thought it would be hard work. But it is really hard work. Really hard work. There's a lot of hours where I'm watching kids, but also trying to tend to the garden, taking care of kids, but also trying to get a canning project done, trying to hold a baby while harvesting and chopping and doing dishes. There's so many dirty dishes in this lifestyle. And I'm not discouraged. I'm not sharing this because I'm discouraged, and I don't want to discourage anyone who's excited about growing food. It's a wonderful thing. I'm just realizing that I don't want to scale up as much as I might have originally thought. When I started getting excited about homesteading, one of the sources I turned to learn more was YouTube. And I watched a lot of homesteading channels that were really wonderful and taught me a lot. But one of the things that I think I picked up as a goal was this idea that I've got to scale up. I want to grow more food. I want to be able to say that I grew a year's supply of our vegetables, or I want to be able to raise a significant amount of my family's meat. We're only on an acre, so I never thought we'd be self-sustaining, but it's just easy to ramp up goals. And I am realizing that to scale up our operation would absolutely mean either less time with my kids, or less quality time with my kids, or less time sleeping, or more stress. in my life, and because I'm at home now, stress in my life really spills over into stress in my family's lives. So I share all of this to say, if you're thinking about doing something small, don't be afraid to keep it small. I don't think you'll be seeing anytime soon a video from me saying I grew a year's supply of food. And I'm not disparaging anyone who does that. That is impressive. I'm just at a stage of life where that's not a really good goal. I want this to be a joy and a pleasure. I want to do just as much work as adds to our lives. I don't want our lives to be lived in service of our work. Thanks for letting me take some time to reflect with you. If you keep a garden or preserve food, I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether this is something that has ever become too much, something that you want to scale up or scale down. I'm just curious. I'd love to know about your thoughts and your experiences. I'm just prepping these potatoes for canning right now. When potatoes are canned, they need to be peeled and they need to be in pieces that are smaller than 2 inches in diameter. Baby potatoes that are smaller than 2 inches in diameter can be canned whole, if that's what you'd like. To prepare for packing the potatoes into jars, I've got 2 pots of water boiling. One pot is for cooking the potatoes, and then the other pot is for filling the jars. My large pot isn't quite boiling yet, so while I wait for it to reach a full boil, I'm going to prep my canners so that I can move things right into there. So I've got, I've got the canning rack that will go in the bottom of each canner, and then the pressure limiting valve on each canner will be set to exhaust. I'm adding 2 quarts of hot water to each canner, and then they are ready to go. If you're not familiar with the Nesco electric pressure canner, I really like it a lot. I like the freedom that an electric pressure canner gives me to walk away as opposed to having to monitor a stovetop canner. And I also like the price of these canners. They are more affordable than competing brands, which is why I was able to buy 2 and have the capacity for canning 8 quarts at a time. Now that my large pot of water is boiling, the potatoes are ready to be boiled. So the cubed potatoes, diced potatoes, will need to be boiled for 2 minutes. If you happen to be canning whole potatoes, those that are 2 inches in diameter or smaller, those will need to be boiled for 10 minutes before they're ready for canning. Their 2 minutes are up. I'm going to get them into the jars. Last year was my first time canning potatoes, and I'm always curious when I can something for the first time to know what the texture and the flavor will be like after the food's been through the canning process, because things do change. And what I found for my family, I tried just heating up canned potatoes and serving them, and they did not like the texture. And I tried frying them in some lard, actually, and the flavor was pretty good, but still my kids were a little bit fussy about the texture. That's something I might do again anyways, because sometimes they just need to get used to things. But by far the way I liked these the best was to just be able to throw them into a soup. I would throw them in towards the end of putting together a soup since they are already cooked and soft. And it was amazing how quickly I could pull a soup together when I already have cooked canned potatoes on hand. So I'm looking forward to the convenience of using these for quick meals this winter. Now that the jars have been filled with hot water to 1 inch of headspace, I'm adding a teaspoon of salt to each jar. If you're working with pint jars, you can add a half teaspoon of salt. The salt is definitely optional, but I've found that if you want a potato dish to have a salty flavor, the salt is best when it goes in when the potato cooks. If you have cooked potatoes and you try to salt after the fact, the salt never really penetrates through all the starch of the potato. It just kind of sits on the outside of it. So every bite of potato is a little bland on the inside, in my experience. So salting my canned potatoes is the way to go for me. I'm just debubbling here so that any air bubbles that are trapped inside can be let out before I start the canning process. And now my jars are ready for bands and lids. They're ready for the canner. Each canner's lid is locked and this is set to exhaust. I'll set to high, put 40 minutes on for quarts, and start. Same here. High, 40 minutes, and start. The canners have both beeped and then started their 10-minute countdown. They said E10. Once this reads E0, then I'll rotate to airtight and it'll start the canning. The countdown is over, so I'm rotating to airtight. I do wear a glove because sometimes it spurts out. Just both displayed 40 minutes. It took a moment after I switched to airtight. The chase bar came back and now it's beginning its countdown. Sometimes it goes straight to the countdown, sometimes it goes to the chase bar and the countdown. Either way, nothing to worry about. I love how hands-off these canners are. They're gonna do their thing. I'm going to go out to lunch with my husband and baby girl. These have now had a couple hours to cool off. They finished processing maybe 3 hours ago, 2 or 3. So I'm ready to get them out. Fingers crossed, hoping they're all sealed. It's tricky doing this under cabinets because I really don't want moisture on the cabinets. Let's see. Let's see how we're doing. That looks good. I like seeing them bubble.
Why do you like seeing them bubble?
Oh, because it means they're working. They've been cooked. They're doing their thing. That's 8 jars. Let's see if they've sealed. I'll let these sit out on the counter for a day or two and I'll just enjoy looking over at them and knowing that we're getting food from our backyard that's gonna feed us this winter. Feels really good. Thanks for joining me for, yes, feels good. Thanks for joining me for Potato Day and letting me share some thoughts with you. I invite you to subscribe if you wanna just follow along with our journey of low-key homesteading. I really enjoy these project days and I look forward to sharing more with you next week. Until then, bye.